Welcome back to Master 79. In this lesson we are working through ielts speaking part 2 and part 3, topic 37, describe a character in a film or TV show. You will get the cue card, a full 1-minute brainstorm, a complete band 9 long turn, and all 5 part 3 questions answered. 3 honest notes before we begin. First, band 9 here means the answer has been quality checked against the public ielts band descriptors. It is not a score awarded by a certified examiner. Second, my is an invented candidate, so the experiences you are about to hear were written for this lesson. And third, please copy the technique, not the content. Examiners recognize a memorized answer almost immediately. Here is the card exactly as it is written. You should say what character it is, who acted the character, and when you saw the film, and explain whether you like this character. A few notes on the wording of this card because we reproduce it exactly rather than tidying it up. The task offers a film or a TV show, but the third bullet mentions only the film. Who acted the character is unusual English. A native speaker would say who played the character. In part 3, earn much is not idiomatic. Say earn a lot or are highly paid. And theatre with an ER ending is the American spelling. Either spelling is accepted. You get 1 minute and a sheet of paper. Here is how to spend it. Do not write sentences. You will never read them back naturally, so write trigger words only. Choose fast. A character you have real opinions about beats a clever choice every time. Give each bullet roughly 20 to 25 seconds, then spend everything that is left on the explain line because that is where the marks are, and plan an ending. Running out of words after a minute and a half is what stops most candidates reaching band 9. This is what Meg actually wrote in her minute. On the left, the ideas Andy Dufresne from The Shawshank Redemption, a banker who is wrongly convicted, quiet on the outside, stubborn underneath. Tim Robbins in the role, seen at school at the age of 16. On the right, and this is the part most candidates skip, the language planted in advance. 8 phrases chosen before speaking, so they arrive naturally instead of being hunted for. Now map that onto 2 minutes. Open with 1 sentence that names the character and sells it. Take the bullets in order to who he is, then the actor and why the performance works. Then a small story about when you saw it because a bad date wastes 20 seconds. Then the explain line with an opinion, a reason, and what it changed for you, and close on a line you planned. Here is the full long turn, delivered at a natural speaking pace. The transcript is on screen, split by cue card bullets, so you can follow the structure while you listen.
I'd like to talk about Andy Dufresne, the main character in The Shawshank Redemption, which I'd say is one of those films that stays with you long after the credits roll. Andy is a young banker who's wrongly convicted of murdering his wife and sentenced to life in a fairly brutal American prison. On the surface, he comes across as reserved, almost aloof, but underneath that quiet exterior, there's an incredibly stubborn streak. He never once buys into the idea that his situation is hopeless, and he spends decades quietly chipping away at it. As for who played him, it was Tim Robbins, and I think his performance is what makes the character work. He underplays everything.
There's no shouting, no big emotional speeches.
He just holds this calm, slightly unreadable expression, and you're constantly trying to work out what's going on behind it. He's brilliantly partnered by Morgan Freeman, who plays his closest friend, Red, and the chemistry between the two of them carries the whole film. I first saw it when I was about 16. An English teacher of mine put it on at the end of term, and I'll admit I wasn't expecting much from a prison drama. The film came out in 1994, so it was already older than I was, but it completely won me over. And whether I like him, absolutely, although like isn't quite the right word. I find him genuinely inspiring. What gets me is that he isn't heroic in any conventional sense. He's just patient on a scale that's almost unimaginable. So whenever I'm stuck with something that feels like it's going nowhere, I think about Andy, and it puts my own frustrations firmly into perspective.
That is the whole answer in one place. Pause the video here and read it through. Notice how little of it is complicated vocabulary, and how much of it is ordinary words arranged confidently. Now the language. These are the 10 expressions doing the heavy lifting, and notice that almost none of them are rare words. They are ordinary words in strong combinations, which is exactly what the lexical resource descriptor rewards. Grammar next, and delivery. Contractions throughout, a relative clause with a reduced second verb, a fronted adverbial for emphasis, one deliberate sentence fragment, one self-correction, and a cleft sentence. That self-correction is worth pointing out. Repairing yourself smoothly is a fluency feature, not a mistake. Against the 4 public criteria, fluency and coherence, lexical resource, grammatical range and accuracy, and pronunciation. Remember that pronunciation is judged from delivery, which a transcript cannot show you. Copy the structure here, not the accent. Now part 3. The examiner moves from your personal story to the wider topic. Answers get shorter, around 30 to 60 seconds, but the thinking gets deeper. Here are all 5 questions from the card. Question 1. Is it interesting to be an actor or an actress?
I imagine it's fascinating in some ways and fairly grueling in others. The appealing side is obvious. You get to inhabit completely different lives, work with creative people, and if you make it, there's fame and money attached. But the day-to-day reality is far less glamorous than people assume. From what I've read, you spend enormous amounts of time waiting around on set, repeating the same 30 seconds of a scene until the director's happy. And the job security is dreadful. The vast majority of trained actors are out of work at any given moment. So interesting, yes, but it's a career you'd only go into if you genuinely couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Question 2. What can children learn from acting?
Quite a lot, actually, and most of it has nothing to do with performing. The most obvious benefit is confidence. Standing in front of an audience is terrifying at first, and getting through it teaches children that nerves are survivable. Beyond that, there's empathy. To play a character convincingly, you have to work out why the person behaves the way they do, and that's a genuinely useful habit of mine. Then there are the practical skills, like projecting your voice, memorizing lines, and taking direction without sulking. I'd argue a school play teaches teamwork far better than most lessons do, because if one person doesn't pull their weight, everybody notices on the night.
Question 3. Why do children like special costumes?
I think it comes down to transformation. A costume gives a child permission to stop being themselves for a while, and at the age the line between pretending and believing is quite blurred. Put a cape on a small child and they genuinely feel braver. There's also something very immediate about it. Unlike most things children are asked to do, the effect is instant and visible. And of course there's the social element. Costumes attract attention and reactions from adults, and children love that. I'd add that dressing up is often a child's first taste of choosing an identity for themselves, which is probably why they get so attached to one particular outfit and refuse to take it off.
Question 4. What are the differences between actors and actresses who earn a lot and those who earn little?
The gap is enormous, and I'd say it's driven less by talent than by leverage. The very highest earners are essentially brands. The name alone persuades a studio that a film is a safe investment, so they can negotiate a share of the profits rather than a flat fee. Actors at the other end are paid by the day, often at the union minimum, and they have almost no bargaining power because there are hundreds of equally capable people who take the role. There's a visibility factor too. Film and streaming pay far better than theatre or fringe work, however skilled the performers are. So the difference is mostly market position and luck, rather than one actor being 20 times better at the job.
Question 5. What are the differences between acting in a theatre and in a film?
They are almost different disciplines, I'd say. In the theatre, everything has to reach the back row, so the performance is bigger. The voice is projected, the gestures are broader, and you sustain a character for 2 hours in a single unbroken run, with no chance to correct the mistakes. Film is the opposite. The camera is inches from your face, so the subtlest flicker registers and anything theatrical looks wildly overdone. On the other hand, a film is shot completely out of order and in tiny fragments, so you need the technical discipline to jump into an emotional peak at 8 in the morning on the 15th take. Personally, I think stage actors get the adrenaline and screen actors get the precision.
One shape works for almost every part 3 question. Answer the actual question in your first sentence with no warm-up. Justify it. Add one concrete example. Concede the other side once because that sounds like thinking rather than reciting. Then stop. Part 3 is a conversation, not a speech. Your turn. Record yourself answering this card in 2 minutes with no script. Play it back and mark only 2 things where you stopped and where you repeated a word. Then record it once more with 3 phrases from this video planted in advance. 1 card done twice beats 10 cards done once. If this helped, subscribe to BMaster79 and I will see you in the next one.